Hello, my queens. This is The Sit Down, and I'm here with Jacqueline Woodson, author of so many wonderful books. I know you love Brown Girl Dreaming. Of course, she won the National Book Award for that. Another Brooklyn, and now 2 new books: The Day You Begin and Harbor Me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. This is a perk.
It's a total perk.
Because I would sit down with you anyway.
Yes.
And then now we just get to do it. You know.
I know, and we have sat down.
We
before,
have. Listen. Usually
camera.
there's some wine or some little cheese. Anyway, okay. So let's talk about these 2 new books.
Okay.
I'm so interested in the way you approach writing for young people. So The Day You Begin is about feeling like an outsider. Where did the idea for this book begin for you?
So The Day You Begin, in Brown Girl Dreaming, I have one poem that's about my great-great-grandfather. And he was the only black boy in his class. And when you see the picture, it's just this brown-skinned face and the sea of whiteness in Ohio, and you know, the early 20s. And my mom would always say to us, you know, you're going to have moments like this when you walk into a room and no one there is like you. And so show up. Like you have to learn how to deal with it, because we always walk into these rooms. And when I wrote that memory in Brown Girl Dreaming, I knew that at some point something else would happen with that story. Okay. And that's the day
you just kind of filed it away.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. And then to get to Harbor Me, which is like middle grade, a middle grade novel. I love this because I think if we have a dated understanding of young people's literature, we might go, wait a minute, a book about incarceration, deportation, racial profiling. This is so intense, but I feel that awareness is integral to your writing. What would you say to people who go, can young people handle that?
Oh, man. Young people are not living in bubbles, right? We know from our own memory of childhood what we compartmentalized and what we took in and what we understood and what we filed away to understand later. And I think that's still the case for young people. And they're hungry and they're thirsty, right? They want to know about the world, and they're watching it and they're taking it in, but it's not always being explained to them, or they're thinking that their experience is solely their experience. And I think that's the great thing that books do, right? It shows them this mirror that they're not alone in that experience, and they can really take in what they're ready for and disregard the rest. And I think this idea of protecting kids or keeping them in some kind of idyllic world
or softening.
It's dishonest. And I think kids know when we're being dishonest. So with me and my own writing, it's not the thing I ever want to do. I never want to lie to kids. I want to show them that I respect them, that I see them, and that what they know is true.
Do you have a specific idea of young people in mind when you're writing books for you? Because you write for all different kinds of audiences, and all different kinds of audiences appreciate the range of your work. But, you know, are you thinking of yourself? Are you writing in some ways books to who you were as a teenager? Are you writing to your children? Are you writing to young people, you know, that you might meet as Young People's Laureate?
I think all of them, right? I first started writing, and I still write, to kind of fill the hole that was there in my own world of literature as a child, and then to fill the gap for, you know, kids who are coming up, as kids of color, as queer kids, as kids and families dealing with incarceration and foster care. Like, there are all these worlds that need that representation on the page. And for me, it makes me sad to think that there's a young person walking around out there who doesn't see themselves in the world, who feels invisible to the world. It feels not legitimized. And I think the literature does that. But it did start with trying to write books to fill that gap in my own childhood.
Absolutely, I feel that way too. Something that I'm interested in with young people's literature are the conversations as a community of writers and readers and editors. If you in any way feel like a outsider to that conversation, you know, and I watch, you know, it looks intense. It at times looks intimidating. Does it feel that way to you?
I'm old hat, right?
And that's why I'm curious, because you've seen it. You've seen it and been with it.
I've been doing it for, 30 years, which is crazy. And I think it can be intimidating when you're younger, and I think it can be intimidating if you're listening to the kind of buzz of how impossible it is. I mean, you know this. You're a poet. You're a writer. And I think we have to shut those voices down to just do our work. And I think that, especially, I came of age before social media. And I didn't have all the voices in my head. I wasn't trying to get the serotonin likes, right? I was just trying to tell a story. So it was this kind of tunnel vision. And I think going back to that, you don't have to, it doesn't feel as intimidating as when you're thinking about this great white world where all of it's coming at you from all these different places. But I don't think there's an impossibility to having a relationship with your editor, having a relationship with your agent, getting into the world of publishing. Of course, you know, the first thing you have to do is write a good book. Right. And then the rest comes. So I always think, am I writing the best book I can possibly write? Am I telling the best story I could possibly tell?
And you keep doing it. You keep doing it. So a couple of weeks ago, I can't even remember, I think I was getting ready for a Dear Ferocity segment on the show. And I was getting ready to talk about rejection and failure. And I tweeted, you know, my own experiences as an author dealing with rejection, and I used the hashtag, share your rejections. It's still out there. That little monster of a hashtag. It was incredible. And I didn't, you know, I was just trying to create the terms for people to ask questions and everything. All kinds of writers and artists, celebrities have shared their stories about rejections along their career. Do you have a story? Because again, I mean, people, your career, the laudits, I mean, it's absolutely earned. And I think, you know, people can go, well, she's Jacqueline Woodson, like, surely.
No. You know, every day, right? Every day there's something. So I've applied for fellowships and never got in. You know, most recently I applied for a fellowship with the New York Public Library, didn't get it. And looking back on when I was younger writing, you know, we would actually send stuff out in the mail, right? You send a short story to the New Yorker, it would come back, or it wouldn't even come back, right? You just get crickets. And then you're like, I guess they didn't want it, or even more naive, it's like, well, maybe it'll show up in this magazine after all. But yeah, it is at that sense of, yeah, you get rejected, but it means that that is not the place for you, right? I never went to Yaddo, which is I got rejected constantly from Yaddo.
Prestigious artist colony.
Yeah, it's an artist colony. But McDowell accepted me, you know, time and time again. And of course, you know, when I move on to the next place, McDowell's going to get my money, right? Like, I'm going to support the people that supported people like me. But I think that we can't take the rejections personally. We can only learn from them. And it happens to all of us. I mean, you know, there are things, I applied for the Rome Prize. I didn't get that. And it meant that I wasn't meant to be in Rome that year.
That year. Rome didn't deserve you that year. That's how we're going to think about it.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, thank you for your work and for the candor that you bring to it, because I think it means something for people to see a Black queer woman who consistently is thriving and also accessible and welcoming. So thank you, Jackie. And again, the books are The Day You Begin and Harbor Me. They're in bookstores now, and just 2 of the books you need to be reading by Jacqueline Woodson. Up next, more AM to DM. Thank you.